So let me begin by pointedly saying something. Uh, we are all discussing that it is the age of AI. Unfortunately, it is not. It is, in fact, the age of ethics. The developments in technology have only generated knowledge forward, right? And I need to bifurcate knowledge and literacy. See, literacy is what we can read and what I can understand, what I can write. So there was a study by the Center for News, Technology and Innovation, which came out in the January of this year. It pointed out a very interesting aspect. People are believing now that chatbots give information and news which is believable. One thing which we can clearly do and which we are trying to do in the education sector is that we need to improve the thinking prowess of a student. So let me begin by pointedly saying something. Uh, we are all discussing that it is the age of AI. Unfortunately, it is not. It is, in fact, the age of ethics and it is the age of critical thinking. AI is just a tool at the end of the day, right? And we need to look at it from a fresh perspective. So let me take you back, say, 3.2 million years back when the hominids were there and the first ones were found in Ethiopia. And there was a bipedal human being, right? And from there, we take a giant leap and we reach Botswana. And then you have in Spain the cave paintings, and 30,000 years back in Bhimbetka they're all just tools to tell stories that the people they're dancing and whatever is happening, rituals are taking place. In the 14th century, when the printing press first comes to Germany and by the Austrian jeweler Gutenberg, we come to know that literacy starts to spread, and in India it arrives thanks to missionaries. And in 1780, India gets its first newspaper. James Augustus Hickey brings it to Calcutta, the Calcutta Gazette. Uh, Thereafter, I will take a little leap, and in the year 1895, the Lumiere brothers bring visual in front of us. Again, it is a tool, visual as a tool. And the very next year, the first patent is filed by for audio, which is the Morse patent, right? And then there is spread. So 1780 onwards, we see that text, and then 1895 onwards, video, visual, and then audio also. There is a rapid spread. Of course, the year 1857 is a turning point for India, and there leads to the birth of what we now know as the legacy media. The big giants in print media come into being. The point that I'm making here is that each successive stage, the developments in technology have only generated knowledge forward, right? And I need to bifurcate knowledge and literacy. See, literacy is what we can read and what I can understand, what I can write. But knowledge goes beyond that. So we have now, thanks to AI and also November of 2022, ChatGPT came into being, and immediately the whole education sector and other sectors across the world, it has been completely turned on its head. So this is the new normal now. We have to accept that the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, AI is here to stay, and we have to accept that. Having said that, we need to also understand that there is a key differentiator at this point of time, the biggest being that knowledge as of today, it is no longer my knowledge and your knowledge, it is our knowledge. Because AI has brought down the firewalls for knowledge. I want to read about something, I can quickly ask AI or any of the tools available to give me information. I'm hungry for information, I want that. So there was a study by the Center for News Technology and Innovation, which came out in the January of this year. It pointed out a very interesting aspect. People are believing now that chatbots give information and news which is believable. I'm pointing to what you had mentioned in the beginning of this roundtable, that there are a lot of difficulties. Interestingly, this is contrary to people disbelieving news which is appearing in other medias. The platformization, people are not taking kindly at all, but they're ready to believe secondary information, which is actually a summary of information which is available across different sectors. And they're willing to say that, okay, the chatbot has said something, I'm willing to accept that. In fact, ChatGPT now gets at least 1 million users every week for local news. It is very important. So what has happened now is that in the last 20, 25 years, Google was the kingpin, right? And search engine optimization, everybody was fixated on SEOs. But we have now moved away from SEOs. We have now entered the age of AEOs, which is answer engine optimization. Now, what does answer engine optimization do is that it creates content in such a way that the large language model will try to pull your content first. And how do you do that? So these are the kind of things which we are now looking at in the education sector, specifically, which I am teaching also, that we try to do work in such a way that there is a critical thinking from one side and the hand holding and learning from the other side, so that the student who comes out and graduates enters a world of uncertainty, which we are all discussing, and we all agree that there is synthetic news, there is deep fakes, there is NLPs, machine learning, deep learning. I mean, there's a lot happening. There's a lot on our students' plate, right? But what should we do? One thing which we can clearly do, and which we are trying to do in the education sector, is that we need to improve the thinking prowess of a student, right? And with that, I mean that the student should be in a position to question. The question whether this is correct or not correct. The ability to have that humanness in that approach towards how we consume news. Those days of news are gone. I mean, I have seen my father reading the newspaper. I used to see my grandfather doing that, and he used to listen to the BBC on an old Philips radio, and I've grown up in that kind of an environment. But those days are now over. So, and the mobile phone which I am also carrying in my hand, which is always near to me, that is also providing all sorts of information. Now that brings me to a third point, sir, and which I would like to draw the attention of the entire panel here. The problem, sir, here is that if I am having a mobile phone, it immediately means that I am having access to AI. If I do not have a smartphone, or if I do not have an electronic device, I do not have access to AI, which means that at the bottom of pyramid, especially in a country like India, where this whole discussion is taking place, we are facing a situation where there are many, many people, millions in fact, who have access to AI, but there are many more who do not have access to AI. And this lopsidedness is a matter which needs to be researched further, right? So the focus here is, and which I'm daring to say here, is that we need to look beyond what AI is doing. We need to look at how it is changing, how the dramatic changes are taking place in not the way we consume news, not just the way we produce news, not just the way we disseminate news, but also the entire media landscape. It has turned it upside down. Let me take a little example, which I think Vibaji had mentioned, or Rajagiri ji had mentioned, that there are now one or two people working, and there is no gatekeeping practically, but that is the truth. As I said, this is the new normal, and this is going to worsen. It is not going to improve. So we have to find ways within this existing architecture, right? So there are now, I mean, I'm sure all of you know, there are a lot of, say, on Instagram, which are fake IDs, which are using synthetic avatars, and they are minting money out of that. So people have moved on. People are smart enough to guess that the era of legacy media is slowly coming to an end. It's not end. It will not end, but it is reduced, and the consumption will now move to that 8 second, 10 second, 15 second. So that change is what we need to see. So how do we look at that? The one is that in the curriculum, we introduce in a very focused manner deep thinking. I mean, how do I raise questions? The ability to question instead of looking for the answer. So it is all upside down. When we were studying, we were looking for answers only. I need to. There's a question. I need to answer. But now I am saying, don't look at the answer. Ask the question. So the whole pedagogy has changed now. The focus has changed completely, right? The second thing which we do is to skill development. How do you do that? What learnings take place? Can I use AI in a positive sense? Everybody said in the month of November, I remember in 2022, New York said that no more AI in schools. But that it did not stop AI growing, right? So I have to accept AI is there. But how do we do that? So one way which we do in the classrooms is that we encourage oral presentations. So there is no way I can help you. And also say for storytelling, or one of the subjects that I teach. What do I do? So I'll tell you something very specific, which is very local, hyper local. AI cannot help you in that, right? So, for instance, one exercise which I gave them is that you walk from the classroom to the library, spend 5 minutes there, and come back. So you write about that walk. Now the AI cannot generate that walk. What temperature is there? What sunlight? What kind of weather? And all that, So it is not that I'm staying away from AI. What I'm doing is I'm trying to embrace AI in such a way that after 2 years, after 3 years, when they graduate, they are industry ready. The industry has changed. We have to realize that. I am teaching them AEOs, I am teaching them GEOs. We are all learning about that. So, in essentially, what I'm trying to do is, and I think I'm running out of time now, is that we are looking at a scenario where it is going to be more dramatic. The last point that I'll make before I end here is that we are today discussing AI. I can tell you, Shri Kumar sir, that in the next 5 years, you will be sitting here in this round table and you will be discussing quantum computing. So I'm telling you, it is coming. I have visited places where it is extraordinary kind of growth is happening. So AI will be defunct, and suddenly you realize it is all about quantum computing and how it is changing our lives and so on and so forth. So we need not worry about that part, about the pace of which this change is happening. What we need to worry is critical thinking, that is very important, and ethics, which is even far more important than critical thinking, and that needs to be emphasized here.